it's interesting because one of the things that we've discussed before when it comes to what we call the war on education is the Stop Woke Act. And this is a law that took effect in July 1st and here in Florida. And basically this idea, this mindset that the individual is the person that's responsible for social issues and structural issues is actually in this bill and in the way that it's written. So just one of the quotes from this bill says, an individual by virtue of his or her race, color, sex, or national origin bears personal responsibility for and must feel guilt, anguish, or other forms of psychological distress because of actions in which the individual played no part, committed in the past by other members of the same race, color, sex, or national origin. So what is being said here in this bill is that people in the classroom cannot be made to feel like they are personally responsible for or be made to feel like bad for these systemic issues as an individual. But again, that is not what sociology does, and that is not what we're here to do. But we wanted to bring this up because it is something that's already in the society's mindset, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and going off the idea of the sociological imagination and it not being about the individual, is that like a lot of our anger goes to those on the opposite side of the political spectrum. And there's a saying that it's not about left and right, it's about up and down. And so in that case, like, it's not about, your anger should not be towards the people that are on the opposite side of the political spectrum, it should actually be towards the people above us, which is like an authoritarian structure, an oppressive structure, like the political elite, the people in power, because ultimately they're the ones that are affecting the issues going on in your life, not the person, not your neighbor that has like voted for someone on the other, a different president for you. Like, that's not where your anger should be going to. It should be going to the structure. It's about the power. And this kind of happened, this played out in a class that I had where we were talking about the relief checks over COVID that Joe Biden was giving out. And a classmate raised their hand and they were like, I think it's wrong that they're sending out relief checks because I have 2 jobs and I'm not making as much money as those people are getting, and they don't have any jobs, and they should not be getting that money if they don't work. And I raised my hand very slightly and slowly. And I was like, I told her, I was like, I think you're right to be frustrated. However, like, you should be angry that you're working 2 jobs that are not paying you enough, not the fact that there are relief going to people in need. And I think that anger is correct to have, but I feel like you're giving it to the wrong systems. You're getting mad at those trying to help people rather than getting mad at the fact that you are not being paid a livable wage and the fact that you have to be working 2 jobs to survive right now. And that's not that is something to be angry about. And I think that was kind of surprising to them because they didn't expect someone who disagreed with them politically to also recognize that their anger was valid in a sense, and also let them know that while that anger is true, it might not be going into the right structures. And it kind of made them like question. They're like, whoa, this person who disagrees with me is kind of being nice to me, but also is telling me I'm wrong at the same time. And it was kind of like confusing for them. So that's the way that, you know, the sociological imagination can reframe your idea of when social issues are going on.
And this is totally why I love teaching sociology. There's like beauty or hope or optimism, whatever you want to call it, in some of these tools, specifically the sociological imagination. A lot of what we've been talking about actually has been really focused on these kind of like partisan political issues, right? And the partisan system is set up to where we're almost like sports rivals, right? We're made to be angry at each other. But the sociological imagination allows us to take this almost like humanistic view of the world by peeling some of those layers back. And what I mean by that is that we can really see these like shared human impacts of structures. And so what we're looking at right here is like an emotional impact, right? Our outrage. And I think the sociological imagination very beautifully can bring us together as we feel that outrage, right? And instead of fighting against each other, using that to shift it back to the structures. The opposite, in my mind, is this hegemonic perspective, which pits us against each other, really. So in the end, I think what we're speaking to, right, is that it's about power, not politics, right? And we use sociology to address these larger structures that go beyond the things that pit us against each other. This is how we come together, right? This is the liberatory potential of sociology. This is the hope and optimism. And the sociological imagination is a tool to make that happen. So to me, this is, although we're full of anger, right, and like things suck a lot out there in the world, there's some hope, right? There's some beauty in being able to not only use these tools, but maybe share them and make something out of it.
Yes. And I think that also opens up space for just reflection, like reflecting. So why is it that we feel that outrage? And so again, our main purpose is using the sociological imagination. Hopefully, we can learn how to redirect our outrage because we are understanding, oh, hold on, this is bigger than that. This is bigger than that one person that I'm disagreeing with, or that one person that makes me feel uncomfortable or angry for some reason. Critical race theory and anti-racism. Why are we angry at anti-racism and people that oppose these systems? If we do say we disagree with racism, why are we angry at them rather than the system itself? So that those are things that we really can sit with when we are trying to redirect our outrage and use these tools in sociology.
And one quick thing I want to add to my point before and what you're saying is that like power is upheld when we ignore the fact that like there is a power structure involved. If we keep on getting mad at each other, that's what the power structures want us to do. That's what people in power want us to do, because it doesn't make us look up and realize that there is an oppressive power system going on. If we keep on ignoring like those above us and we keep on arguing with each other, that is what the powerful want us to do. So that's why we must stop doing that.